good afternoon, and welcome to today's webinar, Good Reviews and How to Get Them. I'm really excited to be your host today. My name's Amanda, and we've also got Steve here to help us out with any of your questions throughout the webinar. In case you're not as familiar with SureFire and who we are, we're located in Northern Virginia, and our all-in-one marketing platform helps home contractor businesses drive visibility through all channels on the web so they can continue to grow their business with ease. Our mission here is to educate businesses on a variety of topics to help you succeed and help the industry grow. We want to know who you are too, so let us know where you're joining us from today. You can do that by using the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. So a few quick reminders before we begin. You'll get the recording of this chat tomorrow. And like I mentioned earlier, you can ask us questions, make comments, etc. in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. Because you're on the webinar with us right now, you have a chance to win a Google Home Hub that we'll be giving away at the end of the talk. Stay tuned after the presentation when we will be announcing a winner. So today we're really lucky to have both Kami and Tara join us to talk about online reviews. They put together a really awesome presentation for you all. So with that, I will pass it on over to them.
Thank you so much, Amanda, and thank you, Steve, for having us. It's always great to host this panel with SureFire Local as well as Kami. I'm going to jump in and talk to you more specifically about Yelp and how you can use Yelp to grow your business. So as you can tell by my slide, I lead community expansion efforts at Yelp, and that sometimes is a sort of a weird title and people don't really know what that means, but basically I grow our consumer and our user base in 60 cities throughout North America. And so over the past 10 years at Yelp, I've learned a lot, but one thing that is always very consistent is our mission and our belief in connecting people with great local businesses. By the numbers, just in case you kind of curious, a lot of people think of Yelp very often as a place to go to find restaurants and where to eat, right? But it's actually, of the business categories reviewed on Yelp, home and local services is actually 16% of the reviewed businesses. So all those millions of users that we have quite a few users coming to the site to find home and local services, and it's actually a largely growing sector on the site. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit also about what kind of tools you can use, because I can go into all different types of details about our community and how Yelp works, but more importantly for you, I want you to know that there's lots of tools here to empower you as a business owner so that you can better connect with your customers and continue to grow your business. First, biz.yelp.com is a website dedicated just for our business owners. You can actually manage your listings by logging in there, claiming and verifying your business through Yelp HQ, and that gives you access to all of our free tools for business owners. Here is a little bit of a dated slide, but on the back end, I'm not a business owner myself, so I don't have a fresh back end screenshot for you. But typically, you're able to see all types of analytics, mobile check-ins, mobile calls, who's calling you, how often a day coming from Yelp. You're able to add your own photos. You can see who's finding directions to your business. You can create new calls to action. Basically, it gives you a lot of control over what's happening. And this is all the free tools. This has nothing to do even with our advertisers that you might be more familiar with. This is just the baseline, what you have access to once you claim your business listing. As you can see, this is sort of on the consumer-facing side. If you have a business like smart remodeling and design, you can add your hours, you can add your website, you can receive messages from potential customers and communicate with them through leads. You can describe your specialties and share your stories. That's really great for SEO, and that's all free to build out your business listing more accurately to reflect who you really are as a business. You can create a deal, and you can always, if anything with your business changes, this gives you the power and control to update that so that anybody that's searching can find the most up-to-date information. We also have Request a Quote, which is something that a lot of people are not that familiar with, but it's a great functional tool on the site that allows you to, as a customer, check out, let's say, recently I had to look for a pet groomer, and I was able to request a quote across any pet groomer that has that back-end function on their business listing, and they were all able to send me quotes within that day. So if you're a plumber or you're a contractor of sorts and you want to be able to have access to people, it's a great lead source generator because people are looking, they want to get different quotes, they're able to see the competitive landscape, but more importantly, they're able to connect with you first on a personal level to get a sense of how you communicate, what your style is. Are you responsive? So it's one more lead, and I know that can mean a lot for a great business. So 60% of Yelp users made a purchase within 2 weeks of requesting or contacting a business through Yelp, which is a pretty powerful number. So I definitely encourage you to look into request to quote. In terms of request to quote, a lot of people have questions about managing requests and messages because you get quite a few inbound requests and inquisitive minds asking more about your business. One, you have to make sure that the feature is automatically enabled on your business listing. So just double check that to make sure it's not disabled. Two, do some prep. You might want to create a few templates as sort of your typical responses when somebody first inquires about your business. Making sure that you're personable and authentic is really important. I think that's probably a big part of why you stand out and your business is unique and special. So make sure to feel comfortable being personable and professional and authentic because it will help you stand out and connect better with your potential customers. Make sure to respond promptly. Your response times is displayed to Yelp users as an average, not as an individual, but as a collective average. And I think people are more likely to go with businesses that they know have a likelihood to respond quickly. And a lot of times people are looking for businesses and are in a hurry, whether an emergency took place or something that they need immediate help with. So a response time that's a impressive average will increase the likelihood that somebody wants to engage further and do business with you. Make sure to flag spam messages if you receive any that seem to be fake or relevant. Make sure you flag them so that our HQ knows what's going on and they can make sure that they can take action if there is anybody on the site that's not operating in a manner that is conducive to what we stand for at Yelp. Also, mark conversations as replied. This really helps you improve your response time and allows those ongoing conversations to be better organized. And then always just follow up, if you're able to actually work with the person that had the inbound lead and you're able to follow up with thank you, I think that goes a long way. 30% of consumers think that how a business responds to reviews is an important consideration when choosing a local business. And so you have to decide exactly how you want to connect and join the conversation with users on Yelp. You have the option to either communicate via direct message. It could be a positive or negative. I encourage all business owners to respond to reviews, whether they are positive or negative. If they're positive, thanking your customer for their business and continuing to grow that relationship. If it's negative, maybe it's something more personal that you want to respond to directly. You can also do that as a direct message. Or you can post as a public comment. I know that sometimes users might come on. They may not be the most active users. They may not even know how to check their messages. So if you do feel like there is a discrepancy or something that you want to make sure that user or your former customer knows about, at least you can respond publicly. And a lot of people check to see what those responses look like for a business owner. Always approach it with a professional and warm approach. Many people are looking at this and they're trying to determine what really took place and also what the nature of the business owner is like. So with all these messages, you're thinking, how am I supposed to keep up with that? I'm running a business. I'm constantly offline. I'm offsite. I'm busy all day long. I'm dedicated to my business. We also have a mobile app, and I think that's really helpful for our business owner community. The mobile app is free to download, biz.yelp/support/mobile. And that allows you to get push notifications whenever you have a review that has been left on your page, and you're able to still see all that data and activity snapshot on there as well. So those are just some ways that you can help manage in a more effective way, because I know how busy business owners are. We also have a Yelp corporate blog, and we have content that we consistently update and dedicate toward the business owner community. It can be everything from finding your business tone of voice and what's helpful there to the webinars that we host for business owners that are very specific to Yelp. But probably a couple times a week, there's new posts and content for business owners. It's relevant to Yelp and also relevant for growing your business and managing your online reputation. So feel free to check that out as well. Another question that comes up a lot that you're thinking, here I am growing my business. I'm finally getting some traction. I set up my Yelp business listing, and now I'm getting reviews that aren't showing up. What are these recommended reviews, and what are they about? Why aren't all of the reviews on Yelp recommended? Well, this is a little bit of a distribution that can break it down. So 71% of reviews that are written on Yelp are recommended. 22% are not recommended, and 77% are removed, whether it's because it's against our terms of service, content violation issues, or the actual user removes it themselves. But the reason for this is because we're using basically a recommendation software that's trying to make sure the most relevant and trustworthy reviews are what shows up and affects the business listing. It's not at all controlled by any sort of human hand or touch, so there's no way that any of us as employees can manipulate or change that. With that being said, that means that sometimes if a user is less established or we don't know too much about the user prior, there could be a chance that a very valid review could end up not being recommended. It's not because it's not valid, it's just because in terms of the data that it's picking up as the software data, they're not really sure how trustworthy that review is. But often in time, you might see a user continue to engage and that review pops back up into the recommendation. It's an ongoing algorithm that the software is always changing and modifying to make sure that we're putting the best content on the site. But it's really what's protected Yelp from remaining at the forefront of trustworthy content and information for our users. So just to round things up a little bit, how to get good reviews. What do you need to do? One, of course, provide great service. That's why you're so busy every day. You're dedicated to providing great service because you want your customers to be happy. You want into business because you're passionate about what you do and you want to provide great service. So keep doing that. Second, make sure you claim your Yelp listing. I walked through a little bit of that, but that's a great first starting point to get familiar with what Yelp is like and what's going on in the back end and who's coming to find you and who are your future customers that you can find through Yelp. Creating a Yelp deal is a great way, depending on what your business is and what you feel comfortable with. A Yelp deal is a great way to get somebody in and then often making them a lifelong customer after that. Once you're starting to able to get more familiar with Yelp, if you want to include the Yelp first or links back to any of your reviews, it's a great opportunity sort of to cross-pollinate some of the great things you're doing. Very often when a Yelper might see on a business storefront, for example, the Yelp logo, or they're on a website and they see that people love us on Yelp, they're more likely to think, hey, I'm on Yelp. I might write a review after. And you have a higher likelihood that those reviews will be recommended because they're coming from people that are already part of the community versus soliciting it from someone that's never actually engaged with the site before. And including in your marketing, there's some great content out there and there's some great things that you should celebrate and share with your community and your following, your network. If you're getting a great review, let people know about it. Sing it from the rooftops. So those are just a few tips, but we're always here for you, and make sure that you do check out Yelp for Business Owners. There's so much content to support you, and also our support center. If you ever have any sort of questions that are pending, there's so much information there. So thank you so much, and I'm going to pass things off to Kami now.
Thank you, Tara. That was really helpful. I actually took notes myself on a couple of things you said. I really love the new features that Yelp is putting out there. That's great.
Thank you.
So my name is Kami Haze, and I help businesses to connect with their customers online and grow a loyal community. Those kind of communities that support you and your business throughout the years. And I do this through my agency, of course, which is zoeticamedia.com, and also through some online training that I do at smartsocialsecrets.com. So definitely check that out. But I want today to share with you kind of what I've learned over the years about reviews and some strategies that you can kind of keep in mind as you go forward. The first thing is that reviews are obviously very important. And I know if you've been on Amazon.com, or if you've been searching on Google, or you've been on Yelp on the app, and looking for different things that are nearby, you've seen the 5-star rating. That is just ubiquitous these days with quality out on the internet. And so I'm going to give you 5 simple steps for responding to negative reviews. We're going to talk a little bit about the stats that go behind that. And then I'm going to give you 4 really strong tips to get better reviews for yourself and for your business. So why reviews are so important. 92% or more of consumers now read online reviews and make buying decisions based on reviews that they read. I imagine if I asked you guys to raise your hand here in the audience, how many of you have made a decision based on a star rating, whether to go to a restaurant or to buy something on, say, Amazon.com or another website? I imagine that a vast majority of this audience that's listening now would say, yes, we definitely make those decisions based on that. 80% of people say they trust online reviews as much as they trust a personal recommendation. And I don't know, if I trust them as much because, where there's all kinds of concerns about it, but I always look and see what the people are complaining about. And I make it a value judgment based on that. So I do look at reviews, and I'm sure you do too. And I hopefully not without, judgment of your own, but people are trusting these reviews. You need to look at that. And as these different networks are becoming much more sophisticated, they're also serving you. They're telling you who else in your network is also making those reviews. So you might go to a review and see that somebody else likes that page, like say on Facebook, and you'll know whether they've left a review or not. So only 14% of customers would consider using a business with a 1 or 2 star rating. So obviously, we want to make sure that we don't have a 1 or 2 star rating overall. Now, there's always going to be people that are unhappy for one reason or another that might not even be correct. I've seen reviews for businesses that they got the wrong business. So we definitely want to start to work on our managing of bad reviews. So say you wake up one morning and you get a bad review, you get a 2 star review. What are you going to do about that? The first thing is to cool down and evaluate. I like to say, respond, don't react whenever you get a bad review, because it is a gift that someone is giving you, telling you what it is that they were not satisfied with in your service. You have a chance now to make changes if it's necessary. So always come at these reviews with an open mind and be listening for themes specifically. So acknowledge and look into the problem right away. Not all of these are going to be true, but I find that if you become very defensive and get very defensive about your service, and all of us, these are our babies. These businesses are our babies. And certainly there's going to be times when people are dissatisfied. So you need to think about how you can get to the bottom of it and find out what's going on. And then even if you don't find the problem directly, you need to address the problem directly with that person. I love what Tara said about sending a private message to someone on Yelp if they have an issue with you. But also the public response is pretty powerful, because when other people come back to read those responses later, they're going to get information from those responses that you set into motion there. So they're going to find out if you're a good person to work with, if you handle problems well. They're going to make some value judgments based on your response as well. So definitely think about that. And then attempt to take the conversation offline. That's number 4, the one that Tara was talking about. Try to send them an email or a direct message through the app on Yelp or through Google or Facebook or wherever it is that you're dealing with this particular review. You want to talk to those people offline if at all possible. We do reviews for a hospital system, and we have to spend a lot of time bringing people offline because there's a lot of rules and regulations around what you can say online. So we've done hours and hours and hours of responses, and we know exactly what that's like. And so take the time to do it. No matter how busy you are as a business owner, this is so important to find out and think of these reviews as a gift from your customers, even if it's a bad review. Finally, you want to document these complaints and watch for patterns. If the same thing keeps coming up over and over again, whatever that is, you need to take that into mind and make changes in your business, and then reflect those and communicate them to the people that you're talking to through the reviews, either on the public space or beyond. So those are the 5 steps for managing bad reviews. I'm going to also go into here a couple of items that I think are add-ons to that. And the first one is kind of important. And that's really about being a giver and not a taker. And what I mean by that is it's really easy online to get irritated by the things that people say about your business and your company. So you always want to look toward helping your customers versus always trying to sell them or protect your vanity or whatever for your business. And then also adding extra things. So in your service, we call it a lanyap in New Orleans. Somebody out there is from that area, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's like a little something extra that you put into things. Actually, I had a handyman out today at my house fixing some things on my house, and he told me that they had an 8-hour estimation. And he goes, I think I can do this in less than 8 hours. So I'm going to lower your bill And I went, wow, that's pretty amazing. And so then later when he came to me and said, hey, I also found some issues here. If you want to call us back sometime or you can do it yourself. I said, no, why don't you just do the 8 hours like you said you were and go ahead and get that done too. So I'm just saying there's a lot of ways that you can make your customers really trust you. And that's one of the ways, just really being a giver and not a taker. And that's something I think that you can all get out of that, especially when you're dealing with contractors and homes and businesses and building. Ask for feedback. I think that's really important too, that you ask your customers what they think of your service, not just online and online reviews, although that's one place to do it, but you can also ask them through a survey on email. You can ask them to give a testimonial that you could take from them through that email itself. You can also advertise that you're on Facebook, Yelp, wherever you're at, and let them know. And so if they're a power Yelp user, they're going to go ahead and leave a review for you. I know that I'm a Google guide. And so whenever I go into a restaurant or a place of business, I often will say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and rank this business afterward, either negatively or positively. And, nobody asked me to do that, but I'll do it because that's one of the things I do on a regular basis. So you want to look at that and just let them know that you are available to take reviews in those different places. And leverage email. We often think of social media and online as being the only place that we can really get in touch with people. And some consumer type of organizations do this really great. But what you can do is really remind people by sending them email that you have a repeat business service. For example, my HVAC company, they'll send me an annual tune-up notice and say, hey, do you want to be on our regular list? And so they'll constantly come out and check my HV or my heating or my air conditioning, depending on the season. And I have a contract in place that they continue to just upgrade every year. And they just remind me they're going to upgrade it. And if I say no, they'll turn it off. But that's one way to manage that too, is that, you just keep in touch with those people and do repeat business that way. Also, send helpful email. My cleaning service, for example, they send a monthly newsletter to me talking about how I can take care of my home and keep it clean and make it really easy for them to do their service. And I think that's a really great thing to do, is to give people information and keep them interested in what you're doing as far as repeat business and ongoing business. So email is a great way to do that. And also in email, you can remind people that you're on the different platforms like Yelp and Twitter and Facebook and Google, and you can leave links in the email that they can follow. So people that are inclined to do so will follow through with that. And that's really what you want. I think Tara was talking about that a little bit, about recommended reviews versus not recommended. A lot of people that are, very active on Yelp, their reviews are going to carry more weight than somebody who just, opens up a new Yelp account just because you asked them to review you. So you want people that are already big on those platforms to be reviewing you in their platform of choice. So that brings me to my next slide, which is really about claiming your business in all of these areas. So you want to claim your business in all of the major social networks. The big ones right now, Yelp, obviously. And I think, and Terry, you can jump in and if this isn't correct, but I think you can go to biz.yelp.com, and that's where you can claim yourself. On Google, you can go to google.com/business. And on Nextdoor, which is, by the way, one of the best apps out there right now for getting recommendations and reviews for the kinds of services you guys do, that is nextdoor.com/business. And what that is a online app that allows people in your neighborhood to recommend you. And I will tell you, that's where I get pretty much all of my help for different kinds of things. In fact, I just hired a bookkeeper from Nextdoor just the other day because I searched for bookkeeping services, and up came some really nice reviews that people wrote about individuals in my neighborhood who were great bookkeepers. And so I called a few of them or sent out a message to a few of them, and they responded back to me, and they were totally unaware that they were being having these great reviews on the Nextdoor app. And so definitely you want to look into nextdoor.com/business if you're local. So that's kind of my story, is that, you want to claim your business on all these different apps. You want to leverage email, ask for feedback, be a giver, not a taker. And when you're dealing with bad reviews, make sure that you are looking out for the people that are giving you those bad reviews and thinking of them as a gift to your business in order to get better. And definitely make sure that you address these things in a very positive way, because the next people that come looking for your business are going to look at how you responded to those bad reviews. So I think that's all for today. I mean, I would love to have some questions from people if you have them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kami and Tara. That was an awesome presentation. And I'm sure the whole audience felt the same way, because we do have a handful of questions for you guys.
Great.
But before we get into those and the Google Home Hub winner, I want to offer everyone the opportunity to get on a call with SureFire and get a complimentary analysis of your online presence and marketing. This is a great opportunity for you to see how partnering with a digital marketing company can make a huge improvement in your marketing efforts. So we just launched the poll. Please take a minute to let us know if you're interested. And if you say yes, we will be in touch after the event. All right, so we have a couple of questions for you guys. Either one of you can just chime in if you feel like you'd like to answer it. But our first one is from Jim, and he asks, can a Yelp review be removed if the company only provided an estimate and never actually did a service?
I think it depends on actually what the content of the review is indicating. A lot of times that's what sets the tone for a business transaction. So I think it really depends on each review. When we have our HQ read through any of those reviews, if you feel as if the review is not fair or in violation of our content guidelines, you can flag that for them to review it, and then they will actually take a look to see if they feel that it falls outside. So anytime you feel like there might be an element of unfairness, I think it really has to do with what was actually written in the content of the review, which is why I'm not saying it as an all-encompassing rule, but always flag it, because at the very least our HQ will review it, as they do with any review that's flagged, to see if it is actually valid and will remain up.
Great. So Bill asks, on a platform like Facebook, what is the best way to nurture reviewers into advocates?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So on Facebook, reviews are a little bit different, and they aren't actually really calling them reviews anymore. They're calling them recommendations now. But basically what I would do and what we do is we often, when somebody leaves a review, first of all, I always respond to it. That's number one. You want to respond to it and thank them, or give some more information, as Tara was explaining before. That's a really great way to manage it. And also invite them to like your page. That would be a good way to go. And maybe even, when you're having some kind of event, or have some kinds of things that are available through your Facebook page that are, extra for them. So I don't know what you do exactly, but there's something that you do that you can give a free gift, like either something they can download or something that is really helpful to the people that are your ideal customer. And then if you have those on your Facebook page, you can let them know, hey, really appreciate that. And here's another way that we can help you. Try to make it all the same, though. Don't go off onto another tangent. If they're saying, hey, we love this page because of so on and so on. So if you want people to leave recommendations on your page, that's a totally different story. I often will tell people, hey, if you feel that we're doing a great job, we'd love to have a recommendation on our Facebook page. I know that our pest control service did that with me. They asked me if I would leave a Facebook review for them, and I did. I'd been using that service for years and years and years, so it made sense for me to leave a review. I've always been happy with them, and I am kind of a heavy Facebook person. So you can also ask for people that you know to review you, especially if they have had a positive experience.
Awesome, thank you. So our next question comes from Sarah, who asks, I have multiple storefronts. Do I need to get reviews for all of them?
Do you want to say that, Sarah?
Yeah, I think it depends on, we have some businesses that have hundreds of locations. We have some businesses that might have 3. And I think that depends also on the spread of that, geographically speaking. I think that typically if you have 3 different store locations, they're a very different experience probably at each one. I have one friend that's a business owner that told me when he launched his second location in a totally different part of the city, he thought he had the formula down in the original part of the city that he had. He's like, I get such great reviews. Like, this is why I'm opening up a second location. This spot has nothing. This neighborhood has nothing that is like what we do. And he realized the clients and customers in that neighborhood were looking for something very different. And so that means that he does have to manage that location a little bit differently. And he learned a lot. He realized that neighborhood had lots more families. So how could he better accommodate who those customers were in that area? So I think depending on how many locations, we have different ways of managing that. But I think it is really important that you think of every storefront as being a very different. I'm sure you probably have different managers and different styles and different factors, whether it's even things as simple as traffic patterns and when you have peak business and things like that. So I do think that I think of every store location as a very different experience. And as a customer, there are some places that I will go, stay same brand, but I will only go to one location because the service varies so much. Even if it's a national chain, not each location is made equal, and that has to do with management and lots of other things. What they keep in inventory, so many things. So I definitely would encourage you to track some of those patterns and figure out what that feedback is, and also empower whoever's running each location on the sort of hyper-local level to provide that feedback so that you guys can better communicate with your different customers at different locations.
And Tara, this is Kami. I've got a follow-up question to that because I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think also one of the biggest things is, and I know for Facebook, you can have a parent location and child locations. We do that with the hospital system. For all the different hospitals, they have like 7 hospitals and multiple different emergency rooms and so on. How do you manage that on Yelp?
If there is, let's say, a business that has like over 100 locations, once you claim it and you can verify through HQ, they can help you claim a large batch at once.
Perfect. That's what I want to do across. So yeah, you can do that also on Facebook. I'm sure that Google has a similar process for that too. So yeah, I mean, storefronts, depending if they are distinct storefronts, they often are very different, and you want to get people to come from that neighborhood, right? So.
All right, thanks guys. So we actually have a lot of questions about dealing with negative reviews. So I'm going to combine some of them into one. So here's a very detailed question from Connie, who asks, I have often experienced angry people who hit all platforms with negative reviews over a salesperson that they say no to. The person attacks the organization because they don't like the pitch, and some of the prospects verbally insult individuals. How can you respond kindly?
Yeah. Go ahead, Tara.
Well, I would just say that in general, because I don't know exactly the nature of the business, but at the end of the day, I think as a business owner, you know often the truth in the transaction. There are small outliers where you trust your team, but you may not know exactly the black and white of what happened, because somewhere in between, sometimes there's still a truth that makes it a valid experience on both sides. It may not completely be translated through each side of the story. I think in terms of like online reputation purposes, I would go back to what we said earlier, where at that point, one, I always recommend to step away from it. Even for Yelp, we host events all the time for thousands of people in the public. They're not going to all like an event, and it could be for the smallest reasons, and that's okay. I think that it's more about how do we manage that? How do we communicate with that after? What can we learn from all this? If it's an invalid issue that comes up, like they didn't think that the ice cubes were cut the way they wanted, okay, well, we know we can't really learn to scale on something so specific. So I would say that if somebody's just slamming you across different platforms, I would figure out which platform is the one that you probably use the most active, or has the most eyeballs on it, and making sure to sort of lead with your PR-centric voice. I always recommend those. Step away for a little bit. Remember, this is sort of a reputation management thing. You'll probably look better than that person that's sort of ranting and seems emotional and lacking control versus a composed business owner response that's managing that. That's a very different sort of juxtaposition. So I would definitely still go with the lead of like, this is how I will respond publicly, regardless of whether I feel like it's an irrelevant rant. And if you feel like there is lack of substance to it, I don't know every single platform, but most platforms have an opportunity to flag it for review depending on what language was used and the nature of it. But I would still lead with all you can control is what you represent through your business, and what they do is their own representation of themselves.
Right. And if you're talking about specific verbiage about that, I've left reviews before that weren't great. And sometimes I've gotten really great responses or no responses at all. But one that I got was really great. It was a really bad experience that we had at a restaurant where we waited over an hour and a half for food and some other things. And I was very professional in the way I left my review because that's me. But sometimes people will call out specific employees and so on, but still you have to keep your composure. And one of the things that they said to me, which I thought was good, "Hi, Kami, sorry to hear that you and your daughter did not have a wonderful experience with us." Did you hear that? And they apologize for the discomfort. And one of the things I've heard too that really works well, and I know it does, is when you not just say you're sorry, but also empathize with the person. They said, I'm sorry that you had a bad experience is one thing, but also you could say, and then they went on to say, "We appreciate the honest feedback and we'll discuss your comments with our kitchen and service team so we can improve moving forward." That was really powerful, right? They tell me what they're going to do. And I'm probably never going back to this restaurant. It was in a different city. But I feel inclined, to, think about that. And maybe even if I don't raise my star rating for them, if you read this, juxtaposed to my review, you would think, oh, wow, they're very responsive. So you want to be that kind of a person. And you can say, "Hey, we're sorry you had that experience. I can really feel for you that I can tell that you're really frustrated." You can even name what you think that's going on there. Say, "We'll be talking with our employees and we will come up with a plan to do better the next time." And, even if you feel like you're not wrong, like if you feel like they're wrong, you want to say that because you do want to talk about it and how you can de-escalate issues like that and situations like that. And in the end, people will see that. They'll see that you're reasonable. I love that, Tara. You're reasonable, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That was a really great response. Thank you guys so much. That's it for our questions. So now we are going to head into our Google Home Hub winner. Today's lucky recipient of the Google Home Hub is Doug Worden. Congratulations, Doug. Please email marketing@surefirelocal.com with your full mailing address and we'll ship that right out to you. So a huge thank you to Kami and Tara and to all of you for taking the time out of your day to join us. We hope you learned something new and look forward to seeing you online on our future webinars. Please take a moment to fill out the survey at the end and let us know how we did today and what topics you would like to hear about in the future. We love checking out the topics you suggest when we plan our webinar schedule. Thanks, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.